One of the most valuable shifts that you can make in your practicing, even or maybe especially if you're a beginner violinist, is to eat the frog first.
Ew, what?
In his book, Eat That Frog, bestselling author Brian Tracy talks about how the most successful people, when they sit down to work on the hardest task first. They're starting every day knocking out something really tough and impactful, and then the rest of their day is easier. So eat that frog. These are the high octane, high power warm up exercises that may not be a whole lot of fun, but will really improve your violin playing over time. Step 1. When you're a beginner on the violin, you have so much going on already just between the left and the right hand and trying to put it all together that I recommend actually isolating more of the muscle movements at the start of your practice time. So we're going to start with just some open strings, focusing on really good quality sound, bow control, and keeping your bow straight. So let's go ahead and start on the E string. I want you to start at the frog. Now, I often say frog and people do this. I mean really the frog. Challenge yourself to play all the way from the real frog and go from the frog all the way to the point and back. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to think about keeping your bow straight so you can practice in front of a mirror and make sure that your bow is staying exactly parallel with your bridge. And then I also want you to think about the quality of the sound that you're producing. Since we're just on open strings, we're just focusing on the bow right now, how can you improve the quality of your sound? So maybe you start playing really softly. Sounds almost timid. And then increase the volume until it sounds harsh and not pretty anymore. And then I want you to do that progression really slowly so that you feel what that in-between kind of Goldilocks place is, where it sounds clean and good, but also it sounds full and not timid and it's not bouncing. And then you'll do that on the rest of your strings as well. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to make sure that your elbow is not really high. That's another common beginner mistake, and it makes it really difficult to have good sound. So make sure that your elbow is coming down with your bow and that it's not up here like this. You can download a copy of these exercises for free through the link in the description below. So download that, and by the time you're done watching this video, it'll be waiting in your inbox to improve your practice time. Number 2. Scales and arpeggios. No, please, not scales. Yes, scales. So confession here, growing up, I didn't think scales were very important. I was supposed to be practicing them, and I rarely did, because I thought that I could learn all the technique and the intonation that I needed to do by practicing my pieces, right? And I thought scales were, at best, painful and kind of a waste of time. And then I would wonder why I had good moments in intonation and bad moments in intonation. In fact, it wasn't until my violin professor in college forced me to practice scales with a grad student that, well, all of a sudden my intonation became a lot more consistent. And I was kind of shocked by this because I really didn't believe yet until that happened in the value of scales. And now I am a big believer in how much they can transform your playing. So let me show you how to do that and how to play your scales properly in the Galamian style, which is how all of my teachers have taught me. And we're going, especially if you're a very beginner violinist, we're going to start with just a 1 octave A major scale. So you're going to start with your open A. Now I want you to stop between each note. We're using whole bows. Set your finger before you play it. Set your bow before you play it, and then go. Set your note. Okay, now we're going to play open E instead of 4 on the way up. And one other thing I didn't mention is you want to be holding down your fingers as you go up the scale so that you're not only practicing where those notes go, you're also practicing good hand position. Let me mention one more thing that's really important that I see beginners do wrong all the time, and that is the position of your second and third finger. Do you see how my second and third fingers are right next to each other? There's a big gap between 1 and 2, but 2 and 3 go down right next to each other. So check your tapes. Make sure that your tapes are in the right spot, because if you've gotten one of those stickers or something like that, I just had a student start with me who had the stickers and they were completely in the wrong spot. So don't go with just the pre-made stuff. Check out the tuning video that I have for you and make sure that you're learning proper intonation as you go with good finger tapes. Okay, so then we get to open E. Hold down your fingers. Uh-oh, that note was a little out of tune. Okay, so what are we gonna do to fix it? Here's what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna go and scooch it into place, or if you set it flat, you're not going to scooch your finger into place. That's really important. It's one of the most common mistakes that people make when practicing scales. Because what does that actually do? Well, here's what you taught your fingers to do. You taught your fingers to put your finger down in the wrong spot and scooch it into the right spot. So we're going to go back just one note. You don't have to start the whole scale over. Go back one note and practice setting that finger in the correct position. Try again. Until you feel confident that you've got it in the right spot the first time without moving it around on the fingerboard, okay? And now you're 3. Okay, now on the way down, because we already have our fingers down, we're just going to lift our fingers. So we start maybe with that 3 again. Lift your 3 to play 2, still putting a stop between each note. Now on the way down, instead of using open strings, we're going to use 4s. Now, when I put my 4 down, I'm not putting all my fingers down together as a block, okay? On the way down, I'm practicing independent fingers, again, in that Galamian tradition. So now you're going to put your 3 down. Put your 3 down before you lift your 4. Set your finger, then lift your 4, then play the note. Set your 2, lift your 3, then play the note. Set your 1, lift your 2. Okay, does that make sense? So scales, there's actually a lot to learn and to think about while you're doing those scales to really get the most out of them. So once you've learned your A major scale, you can do your 1 octave major scale on any string. Don't try to do all of them the same day, just pick 1 or 2. So here's G major or D major. Next, let's try a really simple arpeggio. So for A major, we'll go, and then we play 2, open E, 3 on the E string, and back down. 2, and open A. Now that's for the very beginner violinist. We're just starting to practice setting those fingers in the right spot with those arpeggios. If you're feeling pretty good with those simple scales and arpeggios, then you might also try just some different finger patterns to practice having your hand in the right shape. So maybe you do something like this. Whether you use all separate bows or just a couple of bows doesn't matter. Something like that, where you're just practicing some different patterns with the same hand shape. And eventually, you'll do all of these with minor scales as well. Okay, next, you're going to dive into your first piece. Wait, I thought this video was all about warm-ups. Yes, I want you to dive into that piece first for the first few minutes of it as if this were still your super focused, like high protein, high intensity warm-up exercise, okay? So when you approach the piece that you're working on, I want you to find the hardest part of the piece first. So you're not going to start from the beginning. You're not going to start from the easy part. You're going to eat that frog. Start from the part that gives you the most difficulty and practice that slowly. Practice it with rhythms. Do whatever you need to do to maximize that focused time at the beginning of your practice that you just built with those concentrated scales and apply it to your piece. Then you can enjoy playing your piece. And go ahead and have fun with it, give yourself grace, and maybe you even finish your practice time by going through some of the pieces that you already know and just enjoying it and thinking about musicality as you get more advanced in your violin journey. You're thinking about how to communicate that music. So that's it. That is the most powerful warm-up routine that I think you can possibly have as a beginner violinist. I hope these high octane warm-up exercises help you to share something beautiful with your music.